Have you ever looked back at a moment in your life and thought, if only I had known better? I have, many times. The truth is, we're not always taught how to live, how to think, how to suffer well, how to make peace with failure, or how to handle people who quietly root for our downfall. And by the time life teaches us, it's often too late. Some lessons come wrapped in heartbreak, betrayal, regret, or painful silence. Others are disguised as lost time, years spent chasing things that never mattered. Today, I want to share the Stoic life lessons I learned too late. Lessons I wish someone had told me when I was 20, when I was naive, when I still believed effort was always rewarded and that good people never get hurt. These aren't just quotes from dead philosophers. These are truths that hit hard. And if you listen closely, they may save you years of pain, self-doubt, and unnecessary suffering. Because while I can't change the past, maybe I can help you change your future. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be the truth you didn't know you needed. Part 1. Not everyone wants you to succeed. Let me be honest with you. This was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, and I learned it the hard way. When I was younger, I used to believe that the people around me, especially friends, were genuinely happy when I was doing well. I thought that success would bring support, encouragement, and maybe even celebration. But I was wrong. The Stoics remind us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And it took me years to understand that one of the outside events I couldn't control was how people truly felt about my growth. You see, not everyone wants to see you win. In fact, some people are perfectly comfortable with your success, as long as you're not doing better than them. Sounds harsh. It is. But here's the truth. Some friends will secretly cheer for your failure, not because they're evil, but because your progress reminds them of their own stagnation. Let me give you an example. I once got a promotion at work. It was something I had worked toward for over a year. I was excited. I shared the news in a group chat with friends, expecting emojis, claps, maybe a dinner invite to celebrate. Instead, silence. Then one message, well, must be nice to have connections. That hit me, and I realized sometimes success isolates you. But instead of becoming bitter, I turned to Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. So I stopped expecting applause for things I achieved. I began doing things for me, not for validation. And I also started filtering my circle. I asked myself, who genuinely shows up when I win? Who's still there when I fall? Who only calls when they need something? This reflection helped me cut ties with people who only liked the version of me that wasn't growing. Stoicism teaches us not to hate those who envy us, but to detach from them. Why? Because resentment is their burden to carry, not yours. So here's what I would tell my younger self. Be kind, be humble, but also be wise. Not everyone clapping is rooting for you. Some just want a front row seat to your downfall. If you're going through this now, maybe you're starting a new business, pursuing a dream, or just trying to improve yourself, and you feel resistance, that's a sign you're on the right path. Use it. Let it sharpen you. And remember, you don't need 100 people cheering for you. You just need the right 3 who believe in you when things get hard. Because at the end of the day, your success should make you proud, even if no one else claps. Part 2. Say no without feeling guilty. Let me ask you a simple question. How many times have you said yes when deep down you wanted to say no? Yeah, me too. Way too many times. This is another lesson I learned too late. That you don't owe anyone your time, your energy, or your peace. But for years, I was a people pleaser. I said yes to things I didn't want to do. I agreed to favors I had no time for. I showed up to events I had no energy for just because I didn't want to upset anyone. And guess what? All it did was drain me. People got used to me always being available, and I lost respect for myself in the process. The Stoics believed in living with intention, not obligation. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Saying no is not rude, it's not selfish, it's self-respect. Let me give you a real example. There was a time when I was working on a personal project, something really meaningful to me. A friend asked me to help move apartments on the same weekend. I had finally cleared time to focus. I wanted to say no, but I didn't. I said yes, because I didn't want to disappoint him. I helped him move. I smiled, I even bought the pizza, but the whole time, my mind was somewhere else. I was resentful, not at him, but at myself, for not standing my ground. And the worst part, he forgot to even say thank you. That weekend, I didn't just lose time. I lost momentum and I lost trust in my own boundaries. After that, I made a new rule for myself. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. Now I check in with myself first before agreeing to anything. I ask, do I genuinely want to do this? Will this help or hurt my energy this week? Am I agreeing out of guilt or from a place of truth? Saying no has since protected my time, my focus, and my creativity. And let's be clear, you don't need to explain every no. You don't need a 3-paragraph excuse. No is a complete sentence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In today's world where everyone's trying to please, perform, and prove something, the ability to say no is a quiet superpower. So if you're listening to this and you've been saying yes just to keep people comfortable, let me tell you this. Your comfort matters too. Your priorities deserve protection. And your time, it's not infinite. Let people down if you must. Just don't let yourself down. Because every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with you, you're saying no to something that does. Part 3. Govern with your mind, not your emotions. Here's another lesson I wish I had learned way earlier. Don't let your emotions drive your decisions. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. For a long time, I made decisions based on how I felt in the moment, not what actually made sense. I'd quit things out of frustration. I'd send texts I shouldn't have sent. I'd walk away from opportunities because I was afraid or angry or just overwhelmed. And later, regret. The Stoics teach this over and over. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. What does that mean? It means your emotions aren't facts. Just because something feels bad doesn't mean it is bad. And just because something feels urgent doesn't mean you have to act immediately. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I got a harsh email from a coworker. I felt insulted, disrespected, and honestly, furious. I wrote a reply within 3 minutes calling him out, defending myself, using all caps. You get the idea. But I didn't hit send. I waited. I walked away. I let it sit. And the next morning when I read it again, I cringed. I would have made things worse, damaged the relationship, and probably burned a bridge that didn't need to be burned. Instead, I rewrote the message with clarity and kept it focused on the issue, not the emotion. And guess what? We resolved it professionally, and I earned his respect. That day I realized something. When you react with emotion, you usually create more problems than you solve. But when you pause, breathe, and lead with logic, you stay in control. The Stoics weren't emotionless. They were emotionally intelligent. They didn't ignore their feelings. They simply didn't let feelings make the final decision. And neither should you. Here's a tip I use now whenever I'm overwhelmed emotionally. I ask myself, what would my calmest, wisest self do right now? If I waited 24 hours, would I still feel the same? Is this about them, or is it something in me that I need to address? That short pause can change everything. Remember, anger fades, fear passes, sadness softens, but damage caused by emotional decisions can last years. Marcus Aurelius also said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" If you're going through something right now, maybe a breakup, a business setback, or an argument with someone you love, I encourage you to stop. Breathe. Don't let that first emotional wave dictate your next move. Instead, Zoom out. Ask yourself, will this matter in 6 months, in years? Most of the time it won't, but how you respond, that will be remembered. Lead with your mind. Let your values, not your moods, be your compass. And in doing so, you'll start to see yourself not just surviving chaos, but rising above it with wisdom, calm, and confidence. Part 4. Time flies. Live like it matters. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. How much of your life have you spent waiting? Waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting for approval, waiting for a sign. I've done it too. And here's the cold truth. Time doesn't wait for us. This is a lesson I learned late, and one I still regret. Because the longer you wait, the more life passes you by. The Stoics were obsessed with time, not because they feared death, but because they understood how precious life is. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And wow, that hits hard. I used to tell myself, I'll do it next year. Next year I'll travel. Next year I'll launch that idea. Next year I'll finally tell that person how I feel. But next year isn't promised. In fact, next week isn't promised. I once passed on an opportunity to move abroad for a job I really wanted because I was scared. I told myself it wasn't the right time, that I needed to save more, prepare more, figure everything out first. 2 months later, the job disappeared. So did the chance. And I spent the next year wondering, what if I had just said yes? Here's what I've realized. You'll never feel 100% ready. There's no perfect time. There's only now and what you choose to do with it. Stoicism teaches us to live in the present, fully and gratefully. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. To remind you that this moment right now is real. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. But this moment is yours. If you've been procrastinating on a dream, start today. If you've been holding back from saying something kind or courageous, say it today. If you've been waiting for someone to give you permission, this is it. I'm giving it to you. Think of all the things we lose when we waste time. Connections that could have been deeper, opportunities we never grabbed, talents we never nurtured, words we never said. What helps me now is asking myself, if I had 1 year left, would I be doing this? If the answer is no, I start making changes. Because the truth is, time flies, whether you're making the most of it or not. So don't let your life become a collection of maybes and somedays. Make it a collection of stories, of attempts, of lessons, of memories that meant something. And if you're scared to start, that's okay. Start anyway, because one day you're going to look back, and it won't be the failures that haunt you. It'll be the chances you never took. Part 5. Don't chase happiness. Practice positivity. Let me be real with you. For years, I chased happiness like it was a destination. I thought, if I can just get this job, then I'll be happy. If I meet the right person, I'll finally feel complete. If I move to a better city, everything will feel right. But you know what happened every time I arrived? That feeling of happiness didn't last. A few days, maybe a few weeks, and then the void came back. And that's when I learned one of the most important Stoic lessons. Don't chase happiness. Practice perspective. Happiness, as the Stoics understood it, doesn't come from external things. It comes from how you choose to see what you already have. Let me give you an example. I used to get frustrated about little things. Slow internet, traffic jams, bad weather ruining my plans. But one day I stopped and thought, there are people who would give anything just to be healthy enough to go outside and get stuck in traffic. There are people who will never know what it's like to even have access to the internet. And it hit me. I wasn't lacking happiness. I was lacking gratitude. Seneca said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Think about that. So much of our stress comes from obsessing about things that haven't even happened yet. And most of our disappointment comes from expecting life to feel a certain way and feeling cheated when it doesn't. The Stoics teach us that life doesn't owe us joy. It gives us moments, it gives us time, it gives us choices. And it's our lens, not our circumstances, that creates joy. So now when I wake up, I do a simple mental check-in. Am I breathing? Am I safe? Do I have the power to improve something today? If the answer is yes, then I'm already wealthier than many. Let me be clear, I'm not saying to fake a smile through real pain. I'm saying to stop waiting for perfect conditions to feel alive. Life will never be perfect, but if you can learn to focus on what's good, even when things aren't great, you become unshakable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That quote changed my life because I realized I had been feeding my mind junk, negativity, comparison, fear. And just like your body reacts to what you feed it, your spirit does too. So if you're going through a rough time, I'm not asking you to just be happy, but I am asking you to look for one small thing today that's still good. A kind word, a warm drink, a deep breath. Practice seeing it, practice feeling it. And the more you do, the more you'll realize you don't have to chase happiness. You can choose it, moment by moment, thought by thought. Part 6. Let go of the past before it ruins the present. Here's a hard truth I didn't want to face for a long time. You can't move forward if you're dragging the weight of your past behind you. But I did exactly that. I held on to regrets, old mistakes, failed relationships, things I said that I wish I hadn't, and things I didn't say that I should have. And every time life gave me a chance to grow, I hesitated. Because part of me still felt chained to the past. Stoicism taught me something powerful. Don't let your reflection on the whole sweep of life crush you. Don't fill your mind with all the bad things that might still happen. Stay focused on the present situation and ask yourself why it's so unbearable and can't be survived. Marcus Aurelius. You see, the past only has power over you if you keep feeding it energy. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I went through a painful breakup, not just relationship-wise, but also in how it shattered my self-esteem. I kept replaying every conversation, every moment I could have done better. I thought that if I analyzed it enough, I could somehow rewrite it, but I couldn't. No matter how much I thought about it, it didn't change what had already happened. It only made me more bitter, more withdrawn, more afraid to trust again. That's when I realized the past isn't a place to live, it's a place to learn. And the longer you stay stuck there, the more joy you lose in the present. Here's what I've learned to do instead. When I catch myself thinking about a past regret, I pause and ask, what can I learn from this? Have I already apologized or made amends? Does reliving it serve my future self? If the answer is no, I choose to release it. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you just flip a switch and suddenly feel free. What I am saying is you can't heal while picking at old wounds. You deserve peace, but peace doesn't come from rewriting the past. It comes from accepting it. And that includes forgiving yourself. We're all flawed, we've all made bad calls, but as long as you're still breathing, you have the power to do better. Starting today. Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Think about that. If you're stuck in guilt over something, a failed dream, a broken friendship, a missed opportunity, you're not alone. But it doesn't define you. It doesn't get to write your future unless you let it. So give yourself permission to move on. Give yourself grace. And understand that letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to live fully again. Because this moment, right here, is the only thing you truly have. Don't let it slip away while looking backward. Part 7. Pain is a teacher. If you let it be. Let's be real. Nobody likes pain. Emotional pain, physical pain, rejection, loss. We all try to avoid it, and I don't blame anyone for that. Pain hurts. But here's what I learned far too late. Pain isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. The Stoics believed that discomfort, hardship, and adversity weren't just obstacles. They were the very path to becoming stronger, wiser, more grounded. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That quote changed how I see everything. Let me give you an example. There was a time I completely failed at launching a project I had put my heart into. I spent months preparing. I invested time, money, energy, and when it flopped, I felt humiliated. I wanted to quit. I told myself I wasn't cut out for this, that maybe I should just play it safe. But a few weeks later, I sat down and asked myself, what did this failure actually teach me? Here's what I found. I had poor time management. I didn't test my idea with real people before launching. I avoided asking for feedback because I feared criticism. In that failure, I saw my weak spots, not as signs that I was incapable, but as areas I could grow. And when I tried again, I did things differently, better, wiser. The result, that second launch, it didn't just survive, it thrived. That pain was my mentor, more than any book or YouTube tutorial ever was. But here's the thing no one tells you. Growth doesn't feel like growth when it's happening. It feels like pain, it feels like rejection, it feels like everything is falling apart. And that's why most people miss the lesson. They quit in the middle of the transformation. They avoid pain instead of asking, what is this trying to teach me? Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. It's true. Just like your muscles grow through resistance, your mindset and character grow through struggle. So here's what I've started doing, and maybe it'll help you too. When something painful happens, I write down 3 things. 1, what hurt the most? 2, what I can learn from it. 3, how I'll use that lesson next time. This tiny habit has transformed how I deal with setbacks. Because pain is going to visit you whether you like it or not. You can't control that, but you can control what you do with it. Will you let it break you, or will you let it build you? Your scars don't make you broken, they make you real. They mean you showed up, you tried, you felt, you cared, and that's powerful. So if you're in pain right now, I'm not going to give you empty advice like cheer up. What I'll say is this: lean into it, learn from it, use it. Because your pain isn't pointless. It's part of your becoming. Part 8, you can't control everything, but you can control yourself. Let me tell you something that would have saved me a lot of stress, frustration, and wasted energy. You're not supposed to control everything. You can't control what people say about you. You can't control how others react. You can't even control what happens tomorrow. But what you can control, and what the Stoics believed was the only thing truly worth controlling, is yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your choices. Epictetus put it perfectly. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. And that one idea, it's a game changer. I used to obsess over things I had no control over. What others thought of me, whether a plan would go perfectly, if people would appreciate the work I did. And when things didn't go the way I expected, I'd spiral, overthink, blame myself, try to fix everything and everyone. It was exhausting, because the truth is, trying to control the uncontrollable is like trying to hold water with your hands. The tighter you grip, the more you lose. Let me give you a quick story. I once worked on a team project where I did everything I could to make it succeed. I put in extra hours, stayed up late, double-checked every detail, but at the last minute, one of my teammates dropped the ball, missed a deadline. It affected the whole presentation. We ended up with average results. I was furious at myself, at life. But after cooling down, I realized I did everything within my power. I couldn't control their behavior, only mine. So instead of replaying the situation or blaming others, I focused on the part I could own. I took notes, I adjusted, I started choosing better people to collaborate with, and most importantly, I stopped wasting energy on things outside my control. That single shift gave me peace, and that's what Stoicism is really about, peace through perspective. Here's a small mindset exercise that helps me stay grounded. Whenever something upsets me, I ask, is this within my control? If yes, what action can I take? If no, how can I let go and focus on what is mine to influence? You'd be amazed how often we get upset over things that were never ours to fix in the first place. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." So the next time something falls apart, someone disappoints you, or life throws you off balance, don't panic, don't force, don't chase. Instead, come back to yourself. Take a breath, choose your response. That's your power, that's your peace. Because here's the truth. You won't always control the storm, but you can always control how you sail through it. Part 9. Stop trying to please everyone. It's a battle you'll never win. If there's one thing that drained more of my energy than anything else in my life, it was trying to please everyone, trying to be liked, trying to keep the peace, trying to avoid conflict, even if it meant betraying myself in the process. And the crazy thing is, even after all that effort, I still got criticized. I still lost people. I still felt misunderstood. That's when I finally accepted one of the most freeing Stoic truths. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. You see, people-pleasing is a trap. The more you try to be everything for everyone, the less you become yourself. And the more approval you seek, the more power you give away. Let me share a story that changed my perspective. There was a time I was part of a friend group where I always played the nice one. I never voiced my opinions if they went against the group. I said yes to plans I didn't enjoy. I laughed at jokes that made me uncomfortable. Why? Because I was scared. Scared that if I spoke up, I'd be judged, or worse, rejected. And guess what? Eventually I got burned out. I started feeling resentful and invisible, even though I was always included. That's when it hit me. Being accepted for who you're not is worse than being rejected for who you are. So I started setting boundaries, saying no when I needed to. Being honest, not rude, but real and sure. Not everyone liked the new version of me, but the right people stayed, and the wrong ones, they quietly faded. That's the thing. When you stop performing for approval, you start attracting relationships rooted in authenticity, not expectation. Marcus Aurelius said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them knows you as you are." Think about that. So here's a mindset shift that helped me. Not everyone will like you. And that's okay. You're not responsible for other people's comfort with your truth. Every no to them is a yes to your peace. If you've been people-pleasing for years, I get it. It's a hard habit to break. But I promise you, the moment you begin living in alignment with your values, life becomes lighter, freer. You stop walking on eggshells. You start walking in purpose. One simple question I use now is, if no one clapped, if no one approved, would I still choose this? If the answer is yes, I know I'm living true. So if you're tired of keeping up appearances, of filtering yourself just to stay liked, here's your permission. Let go. Be you. Even if it's messy, even if it's misunderstood, because in the end, people-pleasing might keep you liked, but it will never make you feel loved. And you deserve real connection, not conditional applause. Part 10. Your legacy is built on what you do consistently, not occasionally. We've made it to part 10, and if you've stayed with me this far, thank you. Here's one last lesson that hit me later than I'd like to admit, but it completely changed how I show up in life. Excellence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build, brick by brick, day by day. Not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent actions. In my 20s, I used to think success was about big moments, winning a big award, going viral, getting the dream job in one shot. But I've learned that real excellence is boring in the best way possible. It's about what you do when no one's watching, how you treat people when there's nothing in it for you, what you choose to do with your time every single day. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build up your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this." Let me share a story. I used to struggle with consistency. I'd start something, a workout routine, a journaling habit, a writing project, full of energy. Then 2 weeks in, I'd drop it. Not because I didn't care, but because I expected results too quickly. If I didn't see instant growth or applause, I assumed I was failing. But the Stoic mindset taught me, you are not entitled to the outcome. You are only responsible for your effort. So I flipped the script. Instead of chasing results, I started tracking my process. Did I show up today? Did I do the work even when I didn't feel like it? And over time, those small wins added up. The things I used to give up on, they started becoming part of who I am. Not because I was more motivated, but because I was more disciplined. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." So if you want to build something meaningful, a body you're proud of, a business that lasts, a relationship that thrives, you have to stop waiting for motivation. You have to become someone who does the work anyway. Not once, not when it's convenient, but over and over and over again, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And here's what's beautiful about that. You don't need to be extraordinary to live an extraordinary life. You just need to be consistent with the things that matter. So, ask yourself, what kind of legacy am I building, one action at a time? Are my habits aligned with the life I say I want? Because your future, your real, lasting success isn't written in some big, dramatic event. It's being shaped quietly, patiently, in the choices you make today. Every day is a chance to reinforce who you are. Make it count. If you've made it to this point in the video, thank you, truly. That means you didn't just click out of curiosity, you stayed because something here resonated with you. And maybe like me, you've learned a few of these lessons the hard way. Or maybe you're just now beginning to see things through a Stoic lens, recognizing what really matters, what no longer deserves your energy, and what you can actually control. Either way, I hope this video gave you something more than just words. I hope it gave you clarity, peace, perspective, or even just a moment to pause and breathe. Because that's what Stoicism is really about. Not being emotionless, not being perfect, but choosing to live deliberately, to respond rather than react, to grow even through the pain, and to remember that life doesn't have to be loud or dramatic to be meaningful. So if even just one part of today's video helped you see your journey differently, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment below and share which lesson hit you the hardest, or one you're currently working on. I read every single one. If you found value in this, feel free to give the video a like. It tells YouTube this message matters and helps others discover it too. And if you want more content on Stoicism, mindful living, and honest reflections, consider subscribing. I'd be honored to have you as part of this journey, but no pressure, no hype, just an open invitation to keep growing together. Thank you again for being here. Until next time, stay grounded, stay present, and above all, stay true to yourself.